In the heart of Abuja, where wealth and poverty live side by side, a single act of jealousy was about to change 4 lives forever. This is the story of how poison meant to destroy an innocent child became the key that unlocked an unexpected love. But here's what no one saw coming: the girl everyone tried to silence would become the bridge between 2 broken hearts. Let me tell you what happened when a billionaire's world collided with his maid's desperate hope. Mr. David Okonkwo wasn't just wealthy. He was the kind of rich that made other rich people feel poor. His mansion in Maid'S stood like a palace, with marble floors that reflected the crystal chandeliers hanging from every ceiling. His 12-year-old daughter, Sophia, attended Royal Crest Academy, the most expensive school in Abuja, where children arrived in chauffeur-driven cars and carried designer backpacks worth more than most people's monthly salaries. David's wife, Victoria, was everything you'd expect from a billionaire's wife. Beautiful, polished, draped in the latest fashion from Paris and Milan. She hosted charity galas, posed for society magazines, and made sure everyone knew she belonged to Abuja's elite circle. But inside that gleaming mansion worked a woman named Grace Ademela. Grace was their housekeeper, a 38-year-old widow who had lost her husband to a car accident 3 years ago. Every morning at 5, she would leave her small 2-bedroom apartment in Nyanya, take 2 buses to reach the Okonkwo mansion, and work until evening cleaning, cooking, and managing the household. Her salary was modest, but it was all she had to support her 10-year-old daughter, Amora. Amora attended community primary school in their neighborhood, a ward away from Sophia's academy. The school had cracked walls, overcrowded classrooms, and teachers who sometimes went months without salary. But Amora had something that no amount of money could buy: a brilliant, hungry mind. Every evening, Grace would return home exhausted, but she never failed to sit with Amora, helping her with homework by candlelight when the power went out, which was often. "Mama, why do rich children go to big schools while we stay in small ones?" Amora once asked. Grace had touched her daughter's face gently. "My dear, a big school doesn't make a big brain. Your mind is your own palace. Build it well." The turning point came on a Tuesday afternoon. Grace was cleaning the study when she heard crying from Sophia's room. She found the 12-year-old girl surrounded by textbooks, tears streaming down her face. "Miss Sophia, what's wrong? I don't understand this math." Sophia sobbed. "My exam is tomorrow, and I'm going to fail. My tutor doesn't explain it properly, and Daddy will be so disappointed." Grace looked at the problem: algebraic equations. She remembered Amora solving similar problems just last week. "May I try to help?" Grace asked softly. Sophia looked up, surprised. You know mathematics." "A little. My daughter studies these things." What happened next surprised them both. Grace sat down and began explaining the concept in simple, clear terms, not with the complicated method Sophia's expensive tutor used, but with everyday examples that made sense. Within 30 minutes, Sophia understood. "Grace, you're a better teacher than Mr. Phillips, and my parents pay him 50,000 naira per session." From that day, something shifted. Every evening before Grace left, she would spend an hour with Sophia, helping her with homework. At first, it was just mathematics. Then science. Then English composition. Sophia's grades began to soar. Grace never told Sophia, but she would bring Amora's old notebooks and study guides, the ones Amora had created herself with colorful diagrams and mnemonics. Sophia loved them. "Who made these? They are amazing," Sophia would exclaim. "My daughter," Grace would reply with quiet pride. "Your daughter must be really smart." "She is. Very smart." One day, Sophia asked the question that would change everything: "Can I meet her?" Grace was hesitant, but Sophia kept asking. Finally, she agreed to bring Amora to the house one Saturday when Mr. David was traveling and Victoria was out at her book club. When Amora walked into that mansion, her eyes went wide. She had never seen such wealth. But what struck Grace most was how Sophia greeted Amora, not with condescension, but with genuine excitement. "You're the one who made those amazing study notes." Amora smiled shyly. "Yes. I like making learning fun." The two girls spent 3 hours together. They did homework, played games, and talked. Despite coming from completely different worlds, they connected instantly. Sophia was lonely in her palace, her parents were always busy, and her school friends only cared about designer clothes and who had the latest iPhone. Amora was different. She cared about ideas, about learning, about stories. "You're going to be someone important one day," Sophia told Amora. "I can feel it." "We both will," Amora replied with the confidence of a child who didn't yet know that the world had already decided her place. From then on, Grace would occasionally bring Amora on Saturdays. The girls would study together, and slowly, something beautiful was forming, a genuine friendship that crossed the walls of class and wealth. But someone was watching. Someone who didn't like what she was seeing. Victoria. Victoria Okonkwo had returned home early one Saturday and seen them, her daughter laughing with the maid's child, looking at that poor girl with admiration in her eyes. Over the following weeks, Victoria noticed more. Sophia's grades were improving dramatically. Her teachers were calling her exceptional. But when Victoria asked who was helping her, Sophia mentioned Grace and Amora more than her expensive tutors. Then came the parent-teacher conference. "Mrs. Okonkwo, Sophia has shown remarkable improvement," the principal said. "She's now top of her class. You and your husband must be so proud." "Of course," Victoria smiled. "We've invested in the best tutors money can buy." Indeed. Though Sophia keeps mentioning someone named Amora who helps her study. A friend from another school. Victoria's smile froze. "I'll ask her about that." That evening, Victoria confronted Sophia. "Who is this Amora?" "She's Grace's daughter, Mama. She's brilliant. She explains things better than anyone. She's my best friend." Best friend. Those words hit Victoria like a slap. Her daughter's best friend was the maid's child. What would people say? What would her society friends think? The image she had carefully crafted of the perfect family, the perfect daughter, was being threatened by a poor girl from a struggling school. But it was more than social embarrassment. Victoria saw something in Sophia's eyes when she talked about Amora: respect, admiration, even a hint of envy. Her own daughter was looking up to a poor child. The jealousy started as a whisper in Victoria's mind. Then it grew louder. "Daka. That girl is making my daughter feel inferior. That girl is taking my place in Sophia's heart. That girl needs to disappear." The thought horrified Victoria at first. She pushed it away. But jealousy is like poison: once it enters the bloodstream, it spreads. 3 weeks later, Victoria made a decision that would destroy her life. It was another Saturday. Grace had brought Amora to study with Sophia. Victoria was home, unusually friendly. "Girls, would you like some juice and snacks?" Victoria asked, smiling sweetly. "Yes, please, Mama." Sophia beamed. Victoria went to the kitchen. Her hands trembled as she reached for the small bottle she'd hidden in her bathroom cabinet. Rat poison. Just a little bit. Just enough to make the girl sick. Sick enough that Grace would keep her away. Sick enough that this friendship would end. She poured 3 glasses of juice. In one glass, the one she would give to Amora, she added the poison. Just a few drops. Her heart pounded as she brought the tray to the study. "Here you go, girls." She handed Sophia her glass, then moved toward Amora with the poison one. But at that exact moment, Sophia, distracted by something in her textbook, reached across and took the glass meant for Amora. "Thanks, Mama," Sophia said, raising the glass to her lips. Everything happened in slow motion. Victoria's eyes went wide with horror. No. She lunged forward and slapped the glass from Sophia's hand. It crashed to the floor, juice splashing everywhere. The room went silent. "Mama, what's wrong?" Sophia asked, confused and frightened. Victoria stood frozen, her face pale, her hands shaking. And Grace, who had been standing at the doorway, had seen everything. The panic in Victoria's eyes. The specific glass she'd tried to keep from Sophia. The way she'd reacted. Grace's voice came out quiet but sharp. "Mom, which glass were you giving to my daughter?" Victoria couldn't speak. Grace walked over to the spilled juice, then looked at the remaining glasses on the tray. She picked up the one Victoria had been holding, the one meant for Amora, and lifted it to her nose. She had grown up in a village. She knew the faint smell of rat poison. Her eyes met Victoria's. "You tried to poison my child." It wasn't a question. Act 6, The Unraveling, 19 to 2200 hours. "Grace, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me." Grace's voice cracked like thunder. "You tried to kill my daughter. My baby." Sophia and Amora stared in shock. "Mama," Sophia whispered. "Mama, what is she saying?" Victoria backed away, tears streaming down her face. "I wasn't going to kill her. I just wanted her to get a little sick, just enough to." "Enough to what?" Grace was shaking with rage and terror. "Enough to destroy her health. Enough to damage her organs. That's rat poison. Do you know what that does to a child?" At that moment, David walked through the door. He had returned early from his trip. "What's going on here?" I could hear shouting from outside. Grace turned to him, her voice breaking. "Your wife just tried to poison my daughter. Because she was jealous. Jealous of a 10-year-old child." David looked at his wife. "Victoria, tell me this isn't true." Victoria crumpled. I couldn't stand it. That girl, she was making Sophia, she was helping our daughter." David's voice rose. "She was being a good friend. She's the maid's daughter." Victoria screamed, finally releasing all her venom. "Our daughter shouldn't be friends with the help. People are talking. Our friends are laughing at us." The silence that followed was deafening. David looked at his wife as if seeing her for the first time. "So you tried to poison a child to protect your social status?" "David, please. Get out." "What?" "Get out of this house. Now." Victoria stood frozen. "David, you can't. I'm your wife. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly. You tried to kill a child. An innocent child whose only crime was being intelligent and kind. There's no coming back from that. We are done." Over the following days, the truth came out. David filed for divorce immediately. He offered Grace compensation, support, anything she needed. He paid for Amora to be examined by the best doctors to ensure she hadn't been exposed to anything harmful. But something else was happening too. Something unexpected. In the aftermath of the crisis, David and Grace spent hours together. First, dealing with legal matters. Then, checking on both girls. Sophia was traumatized by her mother's actions, and Amora was frightened and confused. David saw Grace in a new light. This wasn't just his housekeeper. This was a woman who had raised an exceptional child alone, who had worked tirelessly to provide a better life, who had shown his daughter more genuine care than his own wife had. And Grace saw David differently too. He hadn't tried to cover up his wife's crime. He hadn't chosen reputation over justice. He had protected Amora without hesitation. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, David came home to find Grace preparing to leave. "Grace, wait. I need to talk to you. Yes, sir. Stop calling me sir. Please. My name is David. She looked at him, confused. Grace, these past months, working with you, watching you with the girls, seeing your strength. I've realized something. I've been living with someone I didn't really know for 12 years. But in 3 months, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Grace's heart began to race. I know this is complicated. I know people will talk. But I don't care anymore. I've learned that what matters isn't what others think, it's what's real. And what I feel for you is real. Mr. David. I love you, Grace. I love your daughter. I love the way you've brought light into this house. I know I'm your employer, and this creates all kinds of complications, but I love you too. The words came out in a whisper, but they changed everything. David took her hands. Then let me do this right. Let me court you properly. Let me show you and Amora the life you both deserve. Not because I'm rich and you're not, but because you've shown me what real love looks like. 6 months later, they were married in a simple ceremony. Sophia was the flower girl, and Amora was the maid of honor. The girls had grown even closer through the trauma, becoming true sisters in every way that mattered. Today, Amora and Sophia are both in university. Amora, now with access to the resources she always deserved, is studying medicine on a full scholarship. Sophia is studying education, inspired by her sister's love of teaching. David transformed his wealth into something meaningful. He established a foundation providing scholarships to brilliant students from underprivileged schools. The foundation is named after both his daughters. Grace now runs educational programs for the foundation, helping other children like Amora get the opportunities they deserve. As for Victoria, she lives alone in a smaller house, estranged from her daughter, haunted by the jealousy that destroyed her family. She had everything, and she lost it all because she couldn't see that her daughter's friendship with Amora wasn't a threat, it was a blessing. The story spread throughout Abuja, whispered in markets and discussed in mansions. Some called it a scandal. Others called it fate. But David and Grace call it something simpler, love born from truth. Because sometimes, the poison meant to destroy becomes the catalyst that reveals who truly deserves to be in your life. And sometimes, the greatest treasure isn't found in mansions or bank accounts, it's found in the heart of someone who sees your worth when the world has tried to make you invisible. Amora, the girl who was almost silenced by jealousy, now has a voice that inspires thousands. And every time she speaks at a foundation event, she begins the same way. I'm here today because someone saw my potential when I was just a poor girl from Nyanya. That someone was my sister, Sophia. And together, we learned that intelligence doesn't live in big schools or expensive houses. It lives in anyone willing to learn, to grow, to dream. Never let anyone poison your dreams. Not with their jealousy, not with their doubts, not with their fear. Your mind is your own palace. Build it well. This is the story of how one woman's jealousy opened the door to another woman's destiny. A reminder that what's meant for you will find you, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. And that real wealth isn't measured in money, but in love, integrity, and the courage to choose what's right over what's convenient.